Man, do you remember what summer felt like when you were a kid? I mean, it seemed absolutely endless, right? Think back to those long, drawn-out days, just agonizingly waiting for your birthday, or how Christmas felt like it was literally lifetimes away. But now, months seem to just vanish in what feels like a few short weeks. You blink and boom, another entire year is in the books. So why exactly does time feel faster as we get older? Today in this explainer, we're going to completely unravel this universal human mystery.
So, let's get right into it. Did time literally speed up, or is your brain just kind of experiencing life totally differently as you age? Well, as it turns out, the answer to this enigma has absolutely zero to do with the physical clocks ticking on our walls, and literally everything to do with how our brains create and file away memories.
Think about it. Childhood is completely defined by these endless summers and vibrant first-time discoveries. Almost everything in that world is brand new. You're constantly learning how the world works. But then you hit adulthood, and life is so often defined by these fleeting months and really predictable repetitive routines, usually sitting right behind a desk. The contrast is night and day, isn't it? Let's figure out exactly why that contrast is manipulating your internal clock.
Part 1. How memories measure time, or what we can think of as the brain's stopwatch. To truly wrap our heads around why adulthood feels like such a blur, we have to ask a surprisingly simple question. How does your brain actually measure time passing? You might think there's some sort of little metronome ticking away inside your head, but actually, scratch that. Your brain does not have an internal stopwatch, automatically counting every second. Instead, enter the concept of the memory calendar. Your brain actually estimates the passage of time by looking back at the sheer volume of detailed, novel memories it created during a specific window. Think about your last big vacation. When you look back on it, it probably feels way longer than a standard week at the office, right? Why? Because you are constantly out doing new things, forcing your brain to build this incredibly dense cluster of fresh, detailed memories. The more memories you create, the longer that time period feels in retrospect. Put simply, your memory is your brain's calendar. But now, let's contrast that super exciting vacation with your typical adult Tuesday. 7 a.m., wake up. 8 a.m., commute. 12 p.m., grab lunch. 6 p.m., watch some TV. 10 p.m., go to sleep. You're going through the exact same motions day in and day out. And tomorrow, you're going to do almost the exact same thing all over again. This, my friends, is your autopilot brain in action.
And here's the absolute kicker. When days blend together, weeks disappear. Because your brain is incredibly efficient, it quickly recognizes this boring, repetitive pattern and basically decides, hey, there's nothing new to learn here, so it just stops recording the details. When you look back, entire weeks feel like they vanished into thin air. Not because time actually moved faster, but because your brain bothered to store very little information about those specific days.
Moving on to part 2, the math of getting older, specifically the percentage theory. We can actually view this whole phenomenon through a purely mathematical lens. There's this fascinating psychological concept that explains our time perception using just simple fractions.
Picture a 5-year-old kid. For them, one single year represents a massive 20% slice of their entire life story. That 1 year is a huge, substantial chunk of literally everything they have ever experienced since the very day they were born.
But now contrast that with a 50-year-old. For them, that exact same 365-day span is now only a tiny 2% fraction of their lived experience. It's crazy to think about, right? Relative to everything you've already lived through, a single year feels mathematically and psychologically so much smaller. Now, scientists do still debate the exact weight of this theory, but man, it makes total intuitive sense. Every new year naturally just becomes a smaller and smaller fraction of your total story.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to part 3, dopamine and the autopilot brain. How do our attention spans and our literal brain chemistry directly manipulate how we perceive the clock? Think about the sheer power of attention. Remember when you first learned how to drive? You were using full 100% concentration on every single mirror, every street sign, every turn. Your brain was processing massive amounts of data. But compare that to driving that exact same route 10 years later. You can arrive safely at your destination on total autopilot, sometimes without even remembering the trip at all. The less attention you pay to familiar tasks, the fewer memories you create, causing life to seemingly pass in an absolute flash.
So what actually triggers that intense attention in the first place? Enter dopamine.
Now, you hear it called the brain's reward chemical a lot, but fundamentally, it's a neurochemical that is deeply connected to learning and novelty. When you experience something exciting or totally unfamiliar, your dopamine levels just spike. This forces your brain to pay much closer attention and drastically enriches your memories. This is exactly why traveling makes time feel like it's slowing down. You're constantly seeing new places, trying new foods, and your brain is working overtime. Those days feel incredibly full.
Which brings us to the ultimate question. Part 4. How to slow down life and actually expand our time. Can we reverse this cognitive illusion and make our lives feel longer and just more fulfilling? The empowering answer from the research is a resounding yes. Not by slowing the actual physical clock, obviously, but by changing how your brain experiences it.
And here are some highly actionable, scientifically grounded steps you can literally take today to do just that. Go learn a new language, visit some unfamiliar places, take a completely different route home from work, meet new people, try out some challenging hobbies. Even super small changes, like just deciding to walk down a brand new street, can force your brain to snap out of its routine and start recording fresh, vibrant data again.
Now, a quick reality check here. The overarching goal isn't to make every single day exhausting or endlessly exciting. It's simply to make everyday life memorable. You do not need boundless energy or constant extreme adventures to pull this off. You really just need small, intentional moments of novelty to prevent your daily memories from collapsing into one single blurry routine. Just remember, memorable days always feel longer in retrospect.
There's this fantastic quote from the research that I absolutely love because it perfectly summarizes everything we've unpacked in this explainer. The secret to slowing down life isn't changing time itself, it's changing what you do with it. Routine compresses our memories, but novelty expands them. You don't need more hours in the day, you simply need more moments worth remembering.
Which leaves us with this final, vital thought to ponder. Are you building new memories today, or are you just repeating yesterday? The biggest mysteries of time aren't outside of us. They're actually right inside our own minds. So do yourself a favor. Step off autopilot, go learn something entirely new, and start expanding your time. Thanks for exploring this with me today.